Well, at some 18 months still to go to the 2024 election, we have on our hands a major indictment of former President Trump. We have an investigation unfolding of the sitting president involving potential bribery, and we have the usual signs of censorship. What can we expect for 2024?
Well, Brendon, this is only the opening move, and it certainly is shocking, as you said, not only the indictment of the 2024 Republican frontrunner for the nomination, but also FBI documentation about alleged bribes involving the current president of the United States. So it's shocking, but with more than a year left to go in this presidential campaign, you can bet we're in for a lot more shocking material. Let's get to the details right away.
I'm Brendon Fallon.
And I'm Lee Smith.
And we're over the target. Trump announced this on June 8th. He said his lawyers had informed him that this indictment had been delivered. And at the center of this is a recording that apparently indicates that he was aware that the documents that he was discussing with a writer were classified. It seems the way it's being presented in media, particularly a recent New York Times article, this seems like a fairly damning allegation. But if we look at it in context, if we consider the Hillary Clinton email scandal where she was using a private server instead of the government server, which potentially opened up government documents to hacking. If we consider even the Nixon Watergate scandal where there was very obvious hiding of information, what's happened here seems to kind of pale in comparison.
A lot of people, as you mentioned, a lot of media reports are impressed by the fact that it's a 37-count indictment. But really, if it were a serious indictment, if it really had something, it looks like 1, 2, 3, boom, boom, boom. There's where it goes. You don't have 37 counts account for each document that Trump is alleged to have held. What you were talking about, that case of the president supposedly reading off a document or looking at a document that he revealed to visitors at his golf club in New Jersey, right? If that's the point of the case, then you show what that document is, you say what he did, and you accuse him, right? You charge him with revealing this information to those people. But that's not what this is. This document, there's a lot of special effects around it. And the number one special effect, again, is the sheer volume of counts they're charging him with. 37 counts. A serious indictment would go after him with the number of main charges, and it would show the evidence. That's not what's happening here.
Well, it sounds like they may be going for more quantity than quality with this indictment. Nevertheless, where there is a strong media focus on this, it's continuing that trend from the media circus that surrounded the Mar-a-Lago raid when they first, the FBI went in and seized these documents. And there's a stark contrast with this and the kind of coverage that we're seeing of the unfolding Biden investigation.
Yeah, I think that's a key part of it, Brendon, because it was supposed to create a media frenzy, right? 37 charges. Wow. President Donald Trump is going to go to jail for 300 years, or Russian agent Donald Trump is going to go to jail for 300 years. Not only, for the span of his lifetime, but the whole Trump family is going to have to serve jail time. That's what it did. It was to create a media frenzy. First of all, to go after Trump, right? To try to box him in with the media circus. That's the first part. But the second part, you're absolutely right. It was meant to deflect from very serious charges coming from a validated and valued FBI source who reported to the FBI in 2017 that had alleged that Joe Biden had demanded $5 million from a Ukrainian energy company. The same company, Burisma, that employed his son Hunter on its board of directors for between $50,000 and $80,000 a month. These are very serious charges. And of course, instead of the press digging into them and getting into the details and finding out how serious this is, and if it actually really happened, what have they done? They focused their energies on creating this media circus to go after Donald Trump. So what we've seen here is something very, very important, that what we're looking at is in part a cover-up. There are many other elements to this, but what we're looking at with the indictment and other operations against Donald Trump over nearly the last half decade, we're looking at a cover-up.
It's not surprising the way the media is handling this, because if we look back to the Hunter Biden laptop. It was discovered on their documents related to dealings with this Ukrainian energy company. In 2020, the New York Post published an article about this, and it was Twitter and Facebook limited people from sharing this article. And then we cut to 2022. Over a year later, 9 months after the Washington Post had met with the source revealing this information, they finally published an article on this. So it's a very reluctant, very delayed reporting coverage of anything, it seems, to do with this scandal of the Biden family in mainstream media.
Yeah, you're referring to the Post and Times pieces saying, yes, we've managed to verify some of the information found on Hunter Biden's laptop. Yes, right. It was important to have that information before the election, of course. And the problem wasn't so much just that the Post and the Times ignored it or they waited more than a year to report it, but the fact that, for instance, the New York Post was their account was suspended from Twitter. And we should remember, and again, this is important, an important paradigm that we need to take into account as we're looking what's happening now. And this, Brendon, is why you and I are saying there's probably a lot more coming down the road. Because this operation in 2020 to dismiss reports of Hunter Biden's laptop as Russian disinformation, it wasn't just social media. This was coordinated with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, which set up a special task force to persuade, strong arm in some cases, social media platforms from publishing the information regarding Hunter Biden's laptop. So what we talked about here, what we're seeing now in 2023, leading into 2024, looks an awful lot like what happened in 2020. The media and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, under the supervision of the Department of Justice, right, is again working hand in hand to obscure alleged crimes and abuses committed by the Democratic Party's candidate for president.
Definitely signs of that repeated, I guess, collaboration, you could call it, between government and the media playing out there, Lee. Something that I've seen happen, reported on recently, that seems to run counter to that is the announcement by YouTube that there will no longer be censoring information or claims that there was election interference in the 2020 election. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, first of all, I take it as good news. I'll take it at face value. You know, you and I here are rightly skeptical of a lot of things that we hear reported in the mainstream press or that we see relayed on social media. But I'll take it for the time being as good news. And look, it's certainly reasonable that they are responding in this way because remember, the evidence we have of election interference comes from another social media platform, right? The FBI set up a task force to block reports of Hunter Biden's laptop. That in itself is election interference, right? So when people are claiming, when pro-Trump camp or other Americans are saying, no, there actually is evidence of election interference in 2020, they don't have to be going making claims about voting machines or other things that we don't have that much insight into right now. Some, but not that much. We have the evidence right there in the Twitter files, right? And we know also from what Mark Zuckerberg said that the FBI came to Facebook too. So the idea that social media platforms could continue to block claims of election interference when some of these very social media platforms were approached by the FBI to interfere in elections is preposterous.
If you're enjoying this abridged version of Over the Target, you can find the full episode on Epoch TV, where you can catch the live chat as the episode premieres, and also leave your comments and let us know what you think.
Watch us exclusively on Epoch TV, where you'll find not only Over the Target, but all your favorite Epoch TV shows. See you soon.